All right, hello everyone. We are going to continue on with the book reading, The Supreme Authority, the book I wrote to help you reclaim your authority. We're going to continue on listening to it. If you're new, welcome. Be sure to catch up with the last videos. To everyone else, welcome back. We're going to keep going, but I do want to start with a script that I just was making. I'm going to read it out loud because, right before this, I'm so emotional. Oof. All right. Our emotions in this. Okay, so like when we learn law of assumption, there's a lot to unravel, a lot of things we've been programmed within our subconscious. It can be confusing, right? And I've found my mind can get very like a tyrant, right? It can be like, I have to be in this, I have to think these thoughts, and I have to be in this state of being, I have to be in this emotional place. And it can get really intense and really heady. And what I've done my best to do and what I'm about to read is just like every state, and Neville Goddard talks about this, but when you have your wish fulfilled, whatever it is, and you're in the bridge of it, of bringing it to life, you're going to go through different states. Your I am, the personality that we have, is going to go through these different states, because part of unlearning all this is like, you're not just your body, right? This whole world is your imagination. It's your consciousness. It's your assumptions. So that means like you are the whole world, right? You're filtering it through your perspective, through your identity, through your self-concept, your ego, and that's all good and fine. And like that version of you is going to go through these different states. And something I've done that I'm sure we'll get to in this reading, or I'll post it eventually, was I'll make meditations around every single state. Like I was just bawling, I was just crying, and just there was a lot of anger and resentment and hurt at some things that have happened that have really tested my power. And so much of this journey is to allow yourself to feel that, to feel the rage, to feel the hurt, to feel the oppression. And as you feel it and breathe through it, to harness that energy, to transmute it and say, what do I want to turn this into, right? Because that's, your opportunity to take wherever you were deferring power to some old assumption, outside force, and, swallow it and make it what you want. And then to trust too that our emotions, I think in this world, at least for me, my emotions have been so deeply ignored, right? There wasn't a lot of emotional intelligence for me growing up. They were very quickly shut down. I'm a very emotional person. Like my emotions are so strong. My sensitivity to everything is so strong. And so when I was emotional, it would be shut down right away. It would be disregarded. It would be, I'm drama queen, I'm this and that, or I would be punished for having emotions, right? There was never space to understand or feel what I was feeling. And then, so for years, I could not cry. I couldn't cry for years. And then I remember when the floodgates broke after a big breakup, and I was like 20 something, young 20s, I couldn't stop crying for like 2-3 years, 4 years. It was wild. And so as I've reclaimed my emotions and seen them as indicators, like, okay, the emotions of like certainty, state of being, of like calmness, like that's my wish fulfilled, that's my truth. And when I'm in states of, like rage or anger or hurt, there's some type of assumption, there's something that's coming up to be revised. And maybe I'll revise it with my mind. Maybe I'll just feel through it. It's all perfect. It's all good. There's all energy, because energy doesn't get destroyed. It just gets transmuted. That's why I feel everything. That is your power. And then, thank you to my friend. You've been through a lot there for credible. And like people talk about these things, getting a better car and manifesting a goal. I'm almost unable to cry out of numbness. And that's okay too. You know what I mean? Too. I think the biggest part, right, with our emotions, thank you for sharing that, is like, even not judging like when I couldn't cry, that was a mechanism. That was a safety mechanism. And then trusting our bodies, trusting ourselves that like, even the numbness holds a purpose. I will share this meditation eventually where, like I use different symptoms of PTSD or ADHD or different things that I think can be very misconstrued. Where it's like even dissociation or even apathy or even the numbness, that even holds a state that's worthy. It's all part of the bridge. Like the numbness is a state. There's no bad emotion. There just isn't. It's all you. It's all part of the bridge. And there's no state that needs to be denied. So even like embracing the numbness is like, okay, that's all right too. This is still part of my state of being. Part of our wish fulfilled is like, it's ours no matter what, where you're going to have your wish fulfilled with your person, with your family, with whatever's going on, with money, success. You're going to have it when you're sad. You're going to have it when you're numb. You're going to have it when you're angry, rageful. You're going to have it when you can't stop crying, because it's all inherently yours. This whole world is yours. Everything is yours. We don't have to, even when we are seeking outside of ourselves, it's still yours. That's the paradox. That's the catch. And so even in that numbness, it's still yours. And I think validating your desire and every single emotion is so powerful that you cannot mess this up. And even in states of total, I feel so much lack, I feel so much emptiness, it's mine then too. It's still mine. It's still here. And I intend that brings you some comfort, that no matter what emotion you're in, high vibe or not, it's all you. It's all the vibes. It's all you. And so this is where we're taking our conscious mind, and instead of it doing this right or wrong, good or evil, that like Neville talks about, like there is no good or evil, only thinking makes it so. Whatever state is yours, it's what it needs to be. It's still yours, no matter what. It's actually unconditional. The support, the love, the world, listening to you and your decrees and your inner work, it's yours no matter what. All right, let me read this and then we'll do the book. Let me see. Okay. All right. So I was scripting about what I was just feeling, and where I was programmed to think that my imaginal acts or my decrees or my outbursts or my calls for help, because in my childhood there were so many moments of like screaming for help, for guidance, for anyone to lend a hand, for anyone to see the abuse that was going on and to speak up, just anyone to do anything. And I was always met with invalidation, or she needs to like go to a psych ward, things like that, or she's just a troubled teen. She's always being pathologized and dismissed or things like that, right? And so I started, this belief and this assumption was so strong in me that when I have a bid for connection, or I need guidance, or I need support, or I need just to be seen, when I need resources, when I need protection, especially at those vulnerable ages, that the assumption was that I would be ignored. It would be deliberately withheld. I'd be deliberately misunderstood. I would be unheard. Like I'd be deeply isolated, or like worse is I would, like in moments growing up when I needed the most help, I would actually be like ganged up upon. And the outbursts or like asking for help was dangerous. Not only would I be isolated or hurt even more, but they could lock me up, do something like that, which did happen. So there were all these like deeply embedded assumptions that not only were my cries for help and my desperation like dangerous and not safe, and they wouldn't be heard, but if anything, it was even safer to go into like my inner world, right? I know this is common for a lot of people with trauma. It's like you go into your inner world and to keep it guarded, keep it to keep the outer world at such a distance so it can't hurt you, right? And a lot of this has been coming up for me recently as I was needing help with so many things in my life, and everyone was doing the exact same things and ignoring like the abuse in my life, the abuse to my family. It was just like, I couldn't believe it was happening again, but I could see these ingrained assumptions that created this, like, you need to keep your inner world locked up tight. So the idea that the inner world would be reflected in the outer world felt even more disconnected. I intend that makes sense. And so not only have I been like trying my best to, okay, what would it be like for it to be safe that my inner world is connected to my outer world? And it's safe to cry. It's safe to show, vulnerability. It's safe to say, I need help. It's safe to imagine that people will actually see it And instead of judging it, they're actually going to help. They're actually going to be brave enough. Because another assumption I had to start making about others was, what they don't know, what they don't understand, they can't hurt. So like my intuition or doing this type of work, as long as they don't like know about it or want anything to deal with it, like they won't accuse me and lock me up again type of thing. Do you know what I mean? Like there were all these things I had to do to stay safe growing up. Where now, if we're like, okay, this is our world, we can change it, we can have everything we want, and it's our inner world and our outer world are connected, we have to kind of rebuild that intimacy from the place of what would it be like if, yes, in my vulnerability, in my desperation, in my grief, in my anger, when I need things the most, my world will actually like be there for me. And it's safe to express that. And it's safe for my needs to be met. And it's safe for my outer world and my inner world to be connected, and that when I have these moments of like grief or intensity or sadness or rage, I don't have to do this protection thing anymore where they're ignored or I'm invisible, so I'm safe. Like, no, they can be seen now. They can be heard now. And so when I am crying out for help, whether I'm alone or not, I'm never actually alone because everyone is me pushed out. And now that's actually safe. When I'm deeply longing for something or wanting something, my world will reflect that solution to me instead of like turning a blind eye. Let me know in the comments if that makes sense to you. So I'm going to go into the book. Let me just see if there's anything else I want to read from this. A lot of what I've been doing is just looking at how so much of the program was backwards, right? Like I was made to believe that my imaginal acts, my decrees, my emotional outbursts, my calls for help, my bids for connection could be ignored, withheld, or unheard. That I was programmed to believe that all energy I put out, all the longing I expressed could just fall into the void, unnoticed, unanswered. I was made to believe that the desires, my needs, my truth could just be denied, could go unreflected in my reality. That was a big one for me. I'd be curious if anybody else has felt that, where I never had like a proper reflection of me. Like it's always like I was almost deliberately misunderstood. And the way people would talk about me, I'm like, you don't know me like even like a little bit. I had to really fight to know myself was the gift, right? But there was never a proper reflection. So again, it was like, how is this outer world me? Which is like so much of what my bridge has been of rebuilding it. So part of what we'd want to remember, right? There was never a world where your bids, and when we say that, it's not dismissing, like, yes, that reality existed, but if we go to the core of assumptions, right? Well, then there was never a world where your bids for connection could go unanswered. Only a world where you had not fully realized that everything you say, everything you think, everything you feel is the only law. And when I tell myself this, it's not in some blaming way, it's just reclaiming my power. There was never a world where your decrees could be ignored. Only a world where you had not been seen where you had not yet seen that all reality bends to your will the moment you declare it. There was never a world where your longing could be withheld. Only a world where you had not yet fully embodied the truth that your desire is already fulfilled the moment you feel it. There was never a world where your emotional expression could be unheard. Only a world where you had not yet realized that your emotions were the very force that creates your world and moves all things to serve you. So as we go into the book, what I would share, and I'd love to see in the comments just your thoughts on this, whatever you're feeling as you're moving through this and bringing back your true authority, especially, something I've learned is because of, the past that was created, I have an insanely high tolerance, I guess. And yes, like from being around others, I would say, yeah, I have a pretty high tolerance for pain and denial and hurt, where I know how to endure that for like a very long time, but how to endure the feeling of relief actually feels terrifying. That type of vulnerability, again, feels really scary. So I've been gently, as like listen to my own book and things like that, even in the anger, even in the longing, even in the pain, like bringing, again, the imaginal acts in, or just like a little bit of relief. Like even in this moment, I have it. Even when I'm feeling this pain, it's mine. And just bringing a little bit of relief into all the emotions. So it's not like deleting one or the other. It's just bringing them all together. All right, let's listen more. We're going to go through a day in the life, and let me know in the comments your thoughts.
Morning. You wake up to the soft glow of the morning light filtering through the curtains. The air is fresh, carrying the scent of dew and the promise of a new day. As you open your eyes, your first thought is one of gratitude and fulfillment. Inner Conversation LLC 2025-12. Another beautiful day to live in the reality I've created, you think to yourself. A smile forming on your lips. You feel your partner stir beside you, their warmth a comforting presence. The feeling of their body close to yours is an affirmation of the love that now fills your life. As you stretch and rise from the bed, your mind is calm, centered. You're aware of how effortlessly your life is aligned with your desires. Everything always works out for me. My world is a reflection of my inner state, and I feel so good today. You head to the kitchen, the cool tiles under your feet grounding you in the present moment. Your partner greets you with a kiss, and you both exchange a few words, but it's not just what you say. It's the underlying feeling that dominates. There's no anxiety, no fear, only the quiet certainty that everything is as it should be. You make coffee together, the aroma filling the room, and you feel a deep satisfaction in the simplicity of this shared ritual. I love how connected we are. This is the life I've always dreamed of, and it's only getting better. Even if an old doubt tries to creep in, it's immediately dismissed as irrelevant. That was the old me, you think with a shrug, but now I live in a different reality. I am secure, loved, and in control. Noon. As the day progresses, your thoughts continue to reflect your inner state. You're going about your daily tasks, maybe at work or handling personal projects, but your mind is steady, filled with quiet confidence. Everything I touch turns to gold. You think casually as you complete your tasks. I'm always successful in everything I do. There's no pressure, no rush, just a smooth flow of energy as you move from one activity to the next. An email or a message might arrive, reminding you of something from your past, a circumstance that used to cause you stress. But now it barely registers. That doesn't affect me anymore, you think, dismissing it easily. I've moved beyond that. My reality is different now. You take a moment to pause, maybe to grab lunch or take a walk. The world around you feels vibrant, alive, and filled with possibilities. You notice how people react to you, how everything seems to fall into place effortlessly. I'm a magnet for good things. Everything is always working out in my favor, you remind yourself, not out of need, but because it's simply the truth you live by. Evening, Inner Conversation LLC, February 13th, 2025. As the day winds down, you're relaxing at home, the atmosphere peaceful and filled with warmth. Your partner is there with you, and the bond between you feels stronger than ever. You're both doing something simple, maybe cooking dinner together or watching a show, but the feeling is one of deep contentment. I love how perfect our life is together, you think as you look over at them. We've created something beautiful, something lasting. Even if the day had moments of contrast, perhaps a challenge at work, an unexpected bill, or an old worry that resurfaced, it doesn't affect you the way it once might have. You've trained your mind to see beyond the temporary, to focus on the reality you know to be true. This is just a blip, you think to yourself with a calm confidence. It doesn't define my reality. I know who I am, and I know that everything always turns out perfectly for me. As you sit down to dinner, the food tastes richer, the conversation flows easily, and you're deeply aware of how much you've grown, how far you've come. This is the life I was meant to live, you reflect. Every day, I wake up more in love with my life, more certain of power. Night, before bed, you take a moment to review the day. You lie in the stillness, feeling the weight of your partner's arm around you, and a deep, overwhelming sense of gratitude fills your heart. You know that your imaginal acts have brought you here and that they will continue to shape your reality. I'm always creating. My imagination is the only reality. Think as you close your eyes. Tomorrow will be even better than today. If any lingering thoughts of doubt or fear try to creep in, you immediately replace them with the certainty that you are in control. I am the creator of my life. You remind yourself. I only focus on what I want, and I always get what I desire. As you drift off to sleep, you feel the deep satisfaction of knowing that you are living your life exactly as you've imagined it. Your heart is full, your mind at peace, and you fall asleep with the confidence that tomorrow holds even more joy, more love, more manifestations of your desires. I am secure. I am loved. I am powerful. My life is perfect, and it only gets better from here.
Okay, we will continue on tomorrow. Would love to know in the comments your thoughts. And just a final thought, as you listen to like this part in particular, if you do find your mind hijacking any part of this, the morning and night there is like, that's your core. That calm certainty is your core. Now, emotions will rise up in between that aren't calm, that aren't certain, but that's okay, because your core is always that. It's always that, where your full desire is always there. It's always with you. It hasn't left. And so even if you do find yourself getting stuck in the anxiety, and it's not something that can just like move into irrelevancy right away, it will. Learning to breathe through it, being with it, like not avoiding it, breathing with it, facing it, you're getting so much raw power back. And that's what so much of this authority is. It's taking all that energy and those emotional like tides and learning to surf them, learning to like, I can face this, I can see the thoughts, I can revise them or just be with them. And my core state of being will always come back to that security and that peace. And the more I learn to feel them, the easier it is to get back there. And even when I'm totally in resistance, that's a state too, and that's okay. So let me know in the comments your thoughts, and I will see you tomorrow.